Lily Madwhip, Must Die, Chapter 5, Symphony for the Devil. I don't like this. Abaddon clenches and unclenches his fists. He paces around the hallway in a little circle like he's a doggy at the racetrack chasing a mechanical rabbit. Behind him, he leaves a trail of tiny spikes that jut up from the floor and then flatten out. Pashgar is as calm as ever. He stands inside the little spiky slash unspiky circle racetrack that Abaddon is making. He keeps his arms crossed and stares off into space. Abaddon stops for a moment, points at the door to Samael's room, opens his mouth to say something, but doesn't. Instead, he clenches his jaw, makes a fist, and turns around to pace in the other direction. Samael is not a danger, Pashar says. He is our brother. He has always been diligent in his duties. You are letting his time researching the darkness cloud your judgment of him, Abaddon. Abaddon stops pacing and flails his arms at the door. There's something wrong with him. You can see it. I know you can. The darkness lingers behind his eyes. This is not of the word. Your gift of prophecy can't help us here because... He pauses and glances at me. Because of her, everything she touches is clouded from you. I cleverly interrupt. You guys made me come with you. I could have stayed home and slept in. I mean, I am asleep, but I could have slept normally and maybe even dreamed about having a tea party with a dappled, talking unicorn. But instead, you all made me come with you to hell and meet the guy who is like literally my personal Freddy Krueger. Stop this, both of you. Pashgar raises one hand. Abaddon stops pacing. I shut up. I was done talking anyway, so it's not like he made me do it. I hope he doesn't think he had anything to do with me not talking. Abaddon keeps talking, though. All this trouble for one soul. Is it really worth this? Pashgar looks down at me with his glowing eyes behind dark shades. Is this one soul worth it? He's not asking a rhetorical question. He wants to know what I think. What I think is that Meredith saved me. She came to the Vale for me. She died for me. My fault, really. And even that didn't stop her. She came back, again, my fault, and hunted for me when a bad man tried to kill me. If I were trapped in a blue cat doll and needed to be found, would she go into that room and face Samael? I know the answer. It's what Meredith would do, I say, nodding. Pashar kneels down and puts a hand on my shoulder. Behind him, Abaddon turns away and crosses his arms, staring off down the hallway. Despite what you feel, you are not in danger, says Pashar. Remember that this is a dream, and your body is safe, lying in bed. He suddenly looks past me as if something else caught his attention. He quickly turns it back to me. Except for your roommates who are drawing on your face with magic marker. Oh, dang it. I knew it. He suddenly grins, flashing me his pretty teeth. I'm just kidding. I shove him. You jerk. He stands up and brushes off his pants. Remember, Samael is in a state of flux at the moment. He won't harm you, but he might try to get into your head. Just be your usual, stubborn self, and you should be fine. Find out what you can about an anti-rune rune? Pashgar shrugs. That's as good a term for it as any. An anti-rune rune. We'll be out here, right outside the door. When you're done, just walk back out here, and we'll get you back where you belong. And don't show fear. He can smell it, Abaddon mutters, never looking at me. He flicks his wrist in the direction of Samael's chamber. The stone door slides sideways, melting into the wall. I wonder what fear smells like. I would imagine it smells like pee. People tend to pee when they're really scared. Cats, too. I once picked up my cousin Susie's cat, Jinxie, and was carrying him down to the lake to watch Uncle George in his motorboat. But I guess Jinxie thought I was going to toss him in the lake. He got really scared and peed all over me. I only noticed because my chest got super hot all of a sudden. I dropped Jinxie right away, and he dashed off under the log cabin. That's when I learned that if a stranger tries to kidnap you, just start peeing. Of course, I've actually had a ton of opportunities to do that and never considered it. Cats are so much smarter than me. Pashar snaps his fingers in front of my face. It startles me. You're already asleep, Lily. Let's not end up in a coma here. Sorry, I was thinking about pee. Abaddon twitches. Paskar nods. Right. In you go. Best not to think about peeing when you're asleep. That's a very good point. Inside Samael's chamber, the floor is glowing brightly. It fluctuates in some sort of rhythmical pattern, like the equalizer on my dad's recording equipment, that would show the beats and volumes of sounds. I bet if I could hear the song that went with the rhythm, it would be brang classical music. Or worse, opera. The weird pedestal thing that Samael was sitting on before is gone. Instead, there's a table, like a normal wooden table. The legs still seem to be coming up out of the floor, and the wood pattern kind of merges with the floor pattern, like blended with a paintbrush. There's also a pair of hard looking chairs, which thankfully have soft looking cushions on them. Samael is sitting on one, facing the door, his hands up on the table, fingers intertwined. He's smiling at me in a creepy way. Maybe he doesn't mean for it to be creepy, but I'm going to go with he totally knows it's creepy until I'm proven wrong. Have a seat, he says, gesturing with his hand in a robotic manner. You know, people could program robots to be less robotic, and they're moving their arms and legs and necks and such. Then, what will robotic mean? It'll mean just regular movements. We'll have to find a new word to mean the same thing as before. Don't tell me what to do, I say as I do what he says. He shrugs. My apologies. Please have a seat. I'm already sitting. This cushion is not as soft as it looked. He gives the table an eye roll and whispers something to himself that I can't hear. Then he takes a deep breath, closing his eyes, and when he opens them, he forces another smile, this time with new pearly teeth, like a non-evil angel would have, completely different from just a moment ago when his mouth was full of fangs. He tilts his head inquisitive, curiously. He tilts his head curiously. So much for niceties. How about a game of 20 questions? I fold my arms across my chest and give him my strongest frown. How about we don't play your evil mind games? I try to tap my wrist like I'm wearing a watch, but I'm not wearing a watch and I just crossed my arms, so instead, I tap my armpit. I don't think the gesture makes much sense to an angel. It probably wouldn't, even if I tapped my wrist. Even if I was wearing a watch. Well, maybe if I was wearing a watch. Just as I'm thinking that, I feel something cold touch my wrist. I look down and there's a shiny gold watch with a leather strap on it. I forgot I could do that here. I'm going to wake up any time, and it's a long, scary elevator ride to get here that I don't want to have to do again. So let's cut the shit and you tell me how to deal with tunes. I pause. I mean, runes. Samael leans back. I'll tell you everything you want to know, but in return, I'd like you to give me a moment to tell you something you don't want to know. I'm not sure if that means something I didn't ask or something I wouldn't ask because I don't want to know it. It could mean anything. What if he tells me that my parents are actually in hell, having their sins flayed from them by Furfur, now eagerly back at work, torturing my family because he can? And Samael gives a cough, clearing his throat style. I'll take your silence as an accord. He drums his fingers on the table, then slaps it like it was a bad child. So, runes. Where to begin? Obviously, you don't want a history lesson, but it helps to know where they came from. I check my new watch. The hands are spinning around backward at a cartoonishly fast speed. That's probably my fault, but if not, it can't be good. Mechanical things spinning around cartoonishly fast is usually a sign of things going haywire. I glance back up. Samael has made a big chalkboard come out of the floor while I wasn't looking. Like everything else, the bottom of it is blended in with the floor in glowing pretty colors. After the whole Greek pantheon got mislabeled by those pesky Romans and the hold over humanity dwindled thanks in no small part to all the philosophers that cropped up, I focused my efforts on a small but growing population of hairy northerners in the place now known as Bad Bevenson. He waves his free hand around in a circle while almost quicker than my eye can see, draws what looks like a map of Europe. I'm no geography scholar, so he could be drawing an angry ant queen carrying a load of eggs on its back. I started out gently because they were a pretty paranoid and violent bunch. Gave them a few stories to start spreading around their little campfires. All in all, it took a few decades or so, but they made up the names themselves, which were sometimes pretty bad. Yggdrasil, Jormungandr. That's what happens when you try to name things while heaving drunk. I'm still lingering on the name Bad Bevenson. He made it sound like a place, but it could be someone's name, like a loan shark or just one of his bruisers. Here comes Bad Bevenson. Hope you paid up. I don't have time for this. Runes. He records scratches in the middle of some other long story about people throwing things at each other in some sort of party game. Yes, okay, the runes. So, after I'd officially formed the new pantheon, I felt it best to not make the same mistake of giving them all the power I'd given those Greek ponces, so I tied their magic into their worshippers' alphabet, ingraining each letter with its own strength. Samael scribbles a bunch of stickmen and other nonsense symbols, then walks back to his chair and sits down, tossing the chalk away like a litter bug. Combining them was how you cast a spell. The only thing was, to use the magic required a personal sacrifice. It drained them, you see. Wotan and Freyja, and their lot. Sure, you can change your form to anything you like, but the cost of such an act could be as simple as an eye or as much as half of your life. Of course, they got cocky and thought they were immortal, just because I gave them each the typical, irregular divine lifespan. Nearly wiped themselves out. Just a few of those dumb bastards left wandering around the Vale. Why do I feel like I just had a college lecture on European history? Can you just teach me how to undo rune magic? You're giving me a headache here. In my dreams. I am getting a genuine dream headache. I bang the table. The light coming up from the floor flickers, making the whole room go in and out of total darkness. Samael looks around with just his eyes like the whole thing was bewildering to him. The right half of his mouth curls upward for a second, like a twitch. He looks back at me. You can't just undo a rune, little lass. It's tied directly to the lifeline of its maker. A rune has power as long as there is breath still in the lungs of the one who gave it life. Can't I make a rune that, what's the word, unpowers another rune when it's near? Nullifies? Samael asks. I don't know what that means, but no, I don't want any. His annoying vocabulary stuff makes me want to pull my hair out, just in the dream, not real life. But I might pull my hair out in my sleep, and that would be bad. Just teach me some runes, okay? Teach me what they each do, and I'll deal with them myself. You don't have time for that lesson, Samael says mockingly. I can't teach you the entire Futhark alphabet and what each letter represents magically in one sit-down. You're going to wake up any second, remember? You have to come back when you have more time. I don't want to come back here. I don't like being here in this weird room with the glowing floor and the furniture that sprouts up like trees out of it. And especially with fake Smile McBad Bevenson here, probably fantasizing about eating me and using my skull for a bowl. The lights in the room flicker again. What's going on in there? Abaddon yells from outside the door. You tell me, it's your prison. Samael yells back. He looks at me and smiles. I helped him design it, but he built the entire place. I don't care. I bang my fists on the table again. It doesn't feel like a regular table, and it's incredibly frustrating to bang my fists on it. You bang your fists on things to feel that sense of them banging back against you. And this thing kind of gives, instead, like banging on a really firm pillow. It's entirely unsatisfying. It also makes the lights flash off when I do it, and that leaves me in the dark with Samael for a second, which even that is far too long. That's 3, he says with that annoying grin as the lights come back on. Not long now. So you answer my question. Why do you suppose they gave the power of creation and destruction to a child? What? Does he mean me? Do you mean me? He leans forward, putting his hands on the edge of the table like he's going to rip the end off it. Yes, I mean you. He emphasizes the you with a lip-curling snarl. I mean you and your little friend, the fire fiend. I mean you and every other grifter floating through existence with a power they didn't earn. The carnival worker, the farm boy, the lady cop, the ship captain, dozens more, all unworthy. They even left one in the hands of a dog, didn't they? What do you suppose is the point of all this? I hadn't really thought about it before. I don't know, I admit. They give us powers to help each other? Ha! He literally says, ha. He doesn't just laugh, he says, ha, in a big, sarcastic kind of manner. How much help have you been to your fellow hominids? You have the greatest power of them all. What have you done to better the world with it? I stand up out of my seat. I've had enough of this. I told you I'm not going to play your evil mind games. Psy-T-B-A-C-K-D-O-U-N. I sit down. This time I don't mean to do it, but I feel compelled to. His voice is almost overpowering. Samael clears his throat. There's something coming. He leans back from the table, much calmer than just a second ago. That's why we have a wall. That's why the veil doesn't just exist, but is constantly tested and retested, reinforced with each crack. Something has been coming for a very long time, and we don't know when it will get here. But it will arrive one day and set upon us like starving wolves on a warren of rabbits. I imagine a whole bunch of bunnies being torn apart by hungry wolves, and it's awful. It reminds me of when my parents rented Watership Down for my 4th birthday, thinking it was a fun, animated kids movie, and instead, it was some sort of bloody rabbit nightmare. Parents, don't rent Watership Down for your little kids. Samael presses his finger into the tabletop. This is the last line of defense. This, I look at his finger. The table? The veil. You nitwit. I knew that. I was just trying to lighten the mood. And you, he punctuates the word you, with the same finger poking at the air in my direction. You are the first line of defense. You are the one who will see them coming before they get here. If you live long enough. If not, Pashar's vision moves on to the next knife, and the next, like it did with Sargon and Hecate, and Cassandra, Joan and Ambrose, and Fletcher, all before you. I'm not going to remember any of those names. Except Hecate, of course. Her mark is still on my arm. It's starting to itch. Samael waves his hand dismissively at me. That's not the point. You need to understand that you're a soldier in a war you didn't sign up for. You were drafted into an army you didn't even know you joined. Why do you suppose that your gift becomes stronger the more of you there are together? Because, I don't know, because when the time comes, you will all be brought together, and your combined strength will hopefully at least slow the enemy down. You've seen the power of judgment firsthand, and that was at a combined factor of 3. He holds up 4 fingers. I don't think he realizes he's holding up the wrong number of fingers, but he's clearly on some sort of roll here, and I think if I interrupted him to point it out, he might explode and rip my organs out. There are over 50 totem bearers walking around your little dirt ball. Imagine that same power to the factor of 50. You can't. Then why tell me to? Sheesh. Samael touches his face. He's been going on this rant, rave, whatever it is, so hard that he was drooling a little bit, and his nice, happy teeth transformed back into fangs. He wipes his chin and rubs his lips together, finally parting them to show normal teeth again. So, I'll teach you as many of the runes as I can now. But I wanted you to know why you matter, why all of this is what it is, why I'm here and you're asleep, dreaming of me in this cage made to look like a luxury suite. This place does not look like a luxury suite to me, but I don't say that either. I just look around and hope my expression of disbelief is enough to convey what I'm thinking. He says this is a cage. It really is, minus the bars. I don't think they have him in here undergoing therapy to help him get back to normal. I think they locked him away because they don't know what to do with him. I think his work drove him crazy. I think. I think I'm in a room alone with a madman. I hear footsteps behind me. It's Pashar. I can tell because Abaddon has stompy footsteps and Pashar tends to walk softly like he's wearing ballerina shoes. You know, those little slipper things that go over their feet so they can stand on their tiptoes. He doesn't wear ballerina slippers, but he walks real gentle and could probably do some pretty good ballet. Even though I know it's him, I still turn around to look because seeing him is a gazillion times more comforting than looking at Samael 1 second longer. Are we good? He asks me. Oh, we're good, Samael says in a voice that makes my skin want to peel off and slither away like a bunch of flat, wet worms. 4. The lights go out. The room goes dark again. I can still see ever so slightly, just a bit of halo from where Pashkar's eyes aren't fully covered by his shades. In that dim ring of light, something moves. Fast. I can't tell which direction it's moving. It's just a sort of slight flicker like you see sometimes out of the corner of your eyes. In the same moment that I see that movement and feel a sense of panic, a sharp pain gets me in the back of my head. For a second, I think, I shouldn't have turned away. Samael is stabbing me in the head with, and then I can't even think of what he could be stabbing me with. It's like a needle, where the nurse says, "This won't hurt," because she's not the one getting stabbed through the skin with a pointy thing. Yeah, that kind of pain. Maybe like a bee sting. Bee stings don't hurt so much at first, beyond the initial poking. It's afterward where you feel the bee poison soaking in, and the whole area gets hot and your muscles ache. Ow! I yell, because I can't quite think of anything else to say in the moment. And then the lights are back. Just like before, this all lasts maybe a second, if that. I quickly grab the back of my head and turn around to look at Samael, angry at him for poking me in the back of the head with his needle. Furious with myself for turning my back on him. He just sits there like before. He's not smiling now. In fact, his expression would be one I'd call adult concern. "Are you all right?" he asks. He looks up at Pashkar. "What just happened?" Peshar walks over and puts a hand on my shoulder. Behind him, Abaddon steps into the room, fists clenched and ready to fight. "You tell me, brother." Pashkar's voice is cold. He's angry. "If you've harmed her in some way, you will be completely stripped of your grace and cast down into the oubliette with your bride." The way he says bride, you can almost smell the air quotes. "I didn't touch her!" Samael sounds incredibly defensive. His face is suddenly like a sad doggy do's. If we didn't have a bad history together, where he left me scarred and my family dead, I'd almost feel sorry for him. He puts his hands on the table to show he's got no claws or knife fingers like Freddy Krueger. "I was right here when she cried out. I wouldn't dream of touching her. That would be counterproductive to our plans." "Our plans," Abaddon says, reminding everybody that he's there too, "are no longer of your concern." He turns to Pashkar. "I told you he couldn't be trusted. We need to get her out of here." Pashkar squeezes my shoulder. It feels warm, not like uncomfortably so, but like a soothing kind of warmth. The bee sting feeling in my neck is completely gone. "Did you get the information we need?" he asks. "No, but I do. I do have it. I don't know how, but I know the runes. I think about them, and they're there in my head. I am one of the Arelaz." "What?" "Arelaz. What does that?" But even as I question what it is, I know what it is. An Arelaz, a master of the runes. How do I know that? Yes, I have to admit, yes, I know the runes. I don't know how I know them, but I know them. Perthro, Pierth. That's how Felix is hiding himself. Samiel sits back and looks at us quietly. I can't tell by his expression what he's thinking. Abaddon thumbs at the door. "Let's go." Pashkar's brows are scrunched up after hearing what I said. I think he recognizes the confusion I'm feeling as to why I know these things about the runes despite Samael not telling me them. What happened in here? Finally, he nods. He looks up at Samael. We will speak again soon. Samael shrugs. What is soon? In a place outside time. I think about that, and it just makes my head hurt more. Pashar guides me out the door and back into the hallway. I look back at Samael in his glowy prison cell one last time before Abaddon seals the wall up again. We lock eyes. His mouth twitches again into a half smile before the wall closes up.